First thing you got to do is we got to get this heater control out of here. That's where the small screwdriver comes in handy. If you go all the way to the right, there's like an area where you can get behind it. Obviously you don't want to scratch it. You're going to want to get all the way behind it, and it just kind of pops out. We generally just kind of lay this here. You could unhook all these connections and this and that. There's just no point. We just mainly need it out of the way so we can get this center console out of here. The center console comes out pretty straightforward. You got to basically just pull it up. You got to get your fingers in there. If you need room to get your fingers in there, what you can do is you can move the shifter so you can reach your finger. You know, you put slack in the boot so you can reach your fingers in there. So you can see that one side was being a little tough. If you're concerned with scuffing anything, you can obviously throw like blue tape on the bottom, but we've been okay. These are pretty durable. So this is the center surround. Once this is free, there's a bunch of connectors. And this one's going to actually have an extra connector. It's got the engine start. I'll show you the connectors once they're undone. There's going to be one for the park brake. That should be all models. And if you look, there's a little tab here on it. I'm pushing that tab down. And then there is, this one has the engine start button. I got to get that as well. And then there's also a connector over here and a connector up front. So I got to undo this connector, this connector, this connector, and this connector. So here are the connectors. Here's this little tan connector that goes down near the controls right here. So this undid, you could see right here is where I pushed down to release it from underneath. Then here's the first connector I already did for the park brake. And then if your car is equipped with the start engine stop button, it's got a little tab like way tucked up in there. This is where a small screwdriver may come in handy. You might need to get out of the car to, you know, reach up in there and get it free. But if you don't have this button, you obviously don't have to worry about that wire. So now it's free enough where I've been able to pull it all the way up. And what we got to get next now is the factory one-use clamp for the boot down here. I got the clamp free. So now to pull the knob off, you just got to pull this up. Grab the knob real sturdy, and you'll see right here where the knob was on there. So at this point we can put this off to the side. And here's that clamp I was talking about. And how I was getting it off is I would get underneath it and I was prying this and wedging this loose right through here, this opening, which is kind of tough without a 90-degree pick. However, having a small screwdriver like what I use to undo the dash also helps as well to get in there. You just basically, you don't want to ruin the leather in any shape or fashion. So now that this is bent up and free and we got the knob off, you can discard that. Now that you have your shifter surround removed from the car, you see here we took the whole assembly. I'm just going to go ahead and push the knob inverted like that so we can get to the retaining collar off. You'll also see I have two different knobs here. We got our Delrin and our stainless steel powder coated. I'm going to go ahead and use the Delrin on this installation. They install the same. Set the stainless steel unit aside. When you receive your knob, you'll get the knob. It'll have a little sleeve on the back to help retain the boot. You'll get 2 spacers and 4 grub screws. You only need 2 grub screws, but we supply 4 in case you drop one, need another one. They are small little boogers and get lost easily. So now, in order to get started, you just need a couple tools. For the grub screws, we're going to need a 3/32 Allen. And then we just need like a smaller size screwdriver to help get this locking collar off the knob. So you obviously want to work on a nice soft surface so you don't scratch your surround. And this collar is more difficult than the B6, B7 because these knobs are very similar on the B8. You basically have to get inside. You'll see a white part in here, and you go between. You don't go where the white is, you go right on that outer black ring around the white, and you get between the outer collar. It actually looks like it's kind of glued and nobody's really taken these apart yet, but you just got to get in there. You got to get a little aggressive with it. You do run the risk of ruining the collar, but worst case, if you had to get your stock knob back on, you could always glue this back together. The whole purpose of this is just to hold the boot, so it's not very crucial to operation of the car. And this one, I've already had this apart a few times. I went ahead and this one snapped. I've had it apart a few times before this demonstration, but obviously, like I said, you can easily snap it back together. So now that the outer collar is off, you just have to pull the knob out. So just flip it over, and you'll see the boot is free, knob is free. Like I said, you could get it back together if you did break the collar like I did just there, because this has been apart 3 or 4 times. You could glue it back together. It's just cosmetically to hold the boot. Now that the boot is free of the knob, we're going to take the knob, and the knob is just going to go inside of here. We want to try to tuck the boot inside as far as you can. You kind of want to square up your pattern, you know, as close as you can to your stitches for now. You can move it a little bit after the fact. You kind of want to just get that boot up in there, if you can see. The further you get it, the cleaner it's going to look. Then once you got your boot shoved in there, while trying to keep it still inside, you can peel this back, but you just want to make sure it stays down inside. If you peel back too much, obviously you'll pull it out. This is now where this retaining ring goes. The tapered size goes down. Now that's in there, it's going to hold the boot. This is where the spacers come into play. Spacers should be just right, so when you put the grub screws in, the grub screw is basically going to be leaning on the edge of the spacer. As you can see, I'm pushing down on the spacer while I put this in because I do not want to cross thread it. I need to keep it straight, maybe tight, requiring some effort to get the grub screw started. Like I said, just try to keep it straight, get it started, and make sure you're pushing down. And you want to make sure when you go together, the grub screw does not protrude. You want to get it just enough where it's right below the surface, because that grub screw is going to go inside of the actual divot on the shifter. The factory one has a little area where it pokes out a little bit inside and it kind of drops inside the groove of the shifter. We're actually going to put grub screws inside of there to make it retain very tightly. So now that we got one done, we need another grub screw. And like I said before, push down on the spacers. Get this in just, if you get it poking out, you get it just behind the surface. So there you go. So now all you have to do is line this up. You'll see I'm a little off center with my stitching. So now that it's in there, you should be able to just twist it and line up your stitching. You can do this after the fact once it's in the car. You can see that it's pretty sturdy. I can pick up the whole shifter surround with it. So now the next step is to get it installed onto the actual shifter shaft and reinstall the surround into the car. For ease of demonstration, I'm just going to use this shifter that's actually out of the car for showing how the knob installs. Our knob works with stock shifters, JHM shifters, and any other aftermarket that retains the stock knob setting. The big key is this groove right here. You make sure the grub screws get inside of there. So we'll just act like this shifter's in the car. And basically what you end up doing, I'm going to go ahead for purposes of showing you how it's done. I'm going to leave the surround off. So here's the other knob. So it'll just go like this in the car. And this is for demonstration, like I said. You could see you're going to want to get where the grub screw goes, that right inside that groove. And then once it's inside the groove, you can tighten it down. I tighten it not all the way tight, put the car in neutral. You know, make sure once you're in that groove, it can't go up or down at all. So once you're in the groove, the next step is get it centered and then tighten up the 2 grub screws. And your knob is now completely installed, and you just have to snap the center surround back in place, put your radio control head unit back in place. That's it.